What's the timeline? Like, what's the
So cool. Hey, gang! Welcome to G46 Capstone Showcase. Yeah! My name is Kyle Coberly. I am the faculty director of the Web Development Immersive program here in Denver. And I want to tell you just a little bit about Galvanize. Galvanize is a 24-week intensive software development training program. So front end, we got it. Back end, covered it. Databases, administered. But also requirements gathering, user research, all that kind of stuff. Everything that goes into thinking like a developer, that's what we cover in this program. And you're going to see the fruits of some of that work today. Some logistic stuff I want to talk about. The fine food that you've been enjoying, hopefully, is courtesy of Gather. So feel free to stop by and grab a pint or order up a sandwich any day of the week. Additionally, we got bathrooms right out the door and just to your left. You don't need to go inside the atrium to get to those. Additionally, you guys are being streamed out to the entire internet right now, courtesy of our very own CJ Reynolds. Thank you, CJ. And we have a special treat for the presentations, an app that will help you follow along with the presentations, keep track of people you want to follow up with later, take notes. So if you go to g46.tech, you can see our companion app for following along with capstones today. Additionally, at the end of the presentation, we'll have a VR demo that you guys can check out up in the atrium. So one last bit of logistics. We have 22 incredible presentations for you guys. The structure of this, we're going to do 8 of them, and then we're going to take a little break. Then we're going to do 8 of them, and then we're going to take a little break. And then we're going to do 6 to bring it home. Any questions before we get started? That's what I thought. All right, can I please get a warm welcome to the lead instructor for G46, Mr. Brooks Patton.
I swear, half the battle is putting on the microphone, and then you can start talking, right? And then pro tip, don't leave it on the table. When you walk away, you knock everything over. All right, everybody, welcome to the G46 Capstone Showcase. As Cal nicely mentioned, I'm Brooks Patton. I am the lead instructor for G46. I am not the only instructor here. There are quite a few instructors. We saw CJ. Kyle is sort of an instructor still. We have plenty of other instructors here, and I think that's important because every student just doesn't have one instructor. They have all of the instructors at Galvanize access to them. But also, for the last 6 months, I've had the professional and personal honor and pleasure of working with these fine developers as they've gone through this program. So I want to talk a little bit about what it is like to be a Galvanize graduate. One of the most important things for web developers in this day and age is technical skills. I mean, that's obvious, right? You have to be able to write code like JavaScript, HTML, CSS. You also have to be able to create databases like Postgres, use frameworks like Angular. But we don't just make sure that the students are learning the skills that we're teaching, but rather we ensure they learn how to learn. Because one of the most important skills in this day and age in web development is the ability to keep up with the times. If you go into a new job and a manager says, hey, can you work on this technology? Nobody's ever done it before. These developers can stand up and says, yes, I can. I will do that. Now, we don't just teach the technical skills of building things. We also teach agile development, how to be a member of a team, product management, even design. All of those things together create a great team member, not just a developer anymore. So some people have thought that Galvanize is the easy path to become a developer. And all of the little chuckles that you hear from the front row are the students here that have gone through these 6 months. The thing is, every developer that you see as they come up here, they have quit their life for 6 months. They have put all of that on hold so they can go through a personal transformation and become the web developer that they are. that means that Galvanize is really hard. In fact, not only are they developers and great team members, they're also extremely hard workers. So, something to consider while watching these presentations. A lot of the technologies that they have used were not actually on the curriculum. They were technologies that they discovered after having gone through it a little bit and saying, like, that's a really cool technology. Will you have a class on that? And we said no. But instead, they decided, you know what? I'm going to learn it anyway. I learned how to learn. I'm going to learn it anyway. I'm going to, in 2.5 weeks, create a project, show it off to a bunch of people, and include all of this new technology. Finally, I want to mention one of the most unique aspects of a Galvanize graduate, and that is their background before Galvanize. The people you see up on the stage, they were things before Galvanize. We've had electrical engineers, professional sports players, teachers, systems administrators. They've all come to this place, and they bring that knowledge with them. They didn't just stop becoming that, they are that plus. So with that being said, I don't want to take up too much of you guys' time because this is not really the time for me to just talk to you guys. It's not about me. It's not even about Galvanize. Tonight is about you guys. I want you guys to come up here and have the best presentations ever. No pressure. So, without further ado, I'm going to give up the spotlight for our first presenter, Isabella.
Thank you. Yeah? Okay. Oh, yeah. Boa noite. Obrigada a todos por estar aqui. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Isabella. I am a product manager and a web developer. A little bit about me, I am from Brazil. I play professional soccer. And I travel around the world and live in many different countries. Last year, I moved to Denver with my beautiful family. My background is in business management and customer relations. The past 14 years, I work in the hospitality industry, developing and building products to better retain customers. I decided to come to Galvanize to challenge myself and also to do a better transition to the technology industry. And recently, I had a wonderful opportunity to follow a product manager at Pivotal Labs, and that's where I realized the path I'd like to take. Today I'm showing you TruckPod. This is a mobile application that I am collaborating in managing and developing. The first thing that I learned with TruckPod, it was a delay in payments between truck drivers, customers, and brokers. So I'm going to show you how we decided to solve those problems. So as you can see, The truck driver can go and log in. I do apologize. Here. And you can see that he has 4 jobs assigned. Once he starts a new job, he'll have all the information necessary. I do apologize. All the information necessary. And the documentation, especially the most important, is that we'll be able to take pictures of that. So let's see how that works. Perfect. And after all the documentations are attached, within 1 click, he'll be able to submit it to the broker. There you go. Great. And the broker will verify and confirm acceptance. For this app, I use Ionic, Angular, JavaScript, TypeScript, Cordova, and Firebase. The biggest challenge that I had to build this app was that I was unfamiliar with the transportation, the agricultural transportation field. But working directly with the owner of this product, I was able to identify in the market all the things we're missing and develop this application to better solve those gaps. Again, my name is Isabella, and I am here today open for any opportunities, and thank you so much for being here. Obrigada.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Devin Gray. Oh, everyone. Next one is, never mind, give it up for Jules Perryman. Any students have a joke? Yeah, Coulter.
No! Yeah. No! Okay. Let's see, what do we got? What's your name? All right. 2 snare drums and a cymbal fall off a cliff. But
You got a first time over here, I'm sorry. Did Coulter tell you a joke?
Yes.
About something falling off a cliff? Yeah, he's such a charmer. All right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jules Perryman. I am a full-stack web developer here at Galvanize. And I grew up here in Denver. I then went on to University of Redlands, where I've had a multiple of jobs in various different industries. And through many of those careers, which range from investment banking to healthcare IT to private consulting and then to real estate, the greatest thing I learned was what I did not want to do. And that brought me here today, and I am loving this tech stack. I've spent the last 6 months in a basement to bring you this product, Independent Showings. Independent Showings incepted because in my past career, I was a real estate broker, and I realized one of the largest inefficiencies and cumbersome processes of buying and selling a home. And that revolved around the showing process. How many of you guys have bought a home here in Colorado? How many have been frustrated with being able to go and see that home? Because perhaps maybe you were in front of a home and then you had to call your broker, who then had to call the showing service, who then has to call the listing agent, who then has to call the seller, and then back down the chain. And it occurred to me that just is too inefficient. Why can't it be a little more simple? So I built this app, which in all intents and purposes allows a buyer who's been pre-qualified, pre-scheduled, pre-screened, very much like an Airbnb, to go in and schedule showings themselves because they're sitting right in front of there. I'm downtown in a closing. Well, just go see the house, man. You're right there. And that's really how I felt. It was quite frustrating. So here's how it works. You go into the site, you log in, you enter your username and password and your credentials, and you will then be able to search for properties that you like and see properties that you've visited. So here you see we have properties that I like. Here's one that I visited, and then you hit confirm, and it gives you the showing code, the password, and it probably asks you to please lock the door and take off your shoes. So that was my app, and technically I used, based off the React platform, I used Amazon Web Services to host it, as well as Express, Node.js, Mongo database, and some semantic UI, which I ended up pretty much redoing and freehanded it myself. Challenges. One might imagine there are several challenges, especially legally revolving around this. Less technical, more legal, because I tried to call RE Colorado and ask them for their access to their database. Not happening. Not even close to happening. And even if I could, it was about 18 months out. So that was probably one of my biggest challenges. But nonetheless, it is possible, and that will be upcoming. So on the horizon, we will be working on getting that complete, having our ability to call an API out to have these properties up. We will be able to figure out how exactly do you verify a user, what makes you safe versus you safe, because this guy doesn't look safe. And we want to know that before we let anyone into our home. On top of that, we want to get commission approval, but in the grand scheme of things, this will streamline the process, save buyers time, save the consumer money, and make this process faster. So ladies and gentlemen, that is my app. If you want to contact me, I will be out over here accepting funding, donations, cash checks, and or if you're just interested, please feel free to reach out to me. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, keep it going for Michelle Bergquist.
Oh, there's a lot of people here. I'm in the front, I can't see all of you. Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm a developer. In order to tell you how I got to be here today, I'm going to tell you all about the last 17 years of my life. Just kidding. But really quick, in the early 2000s, I made my first website. I was totally self-taught. I'd come home after school, I'd work on it all night, teaching myself how to make things work. And I loved it. But a couple years later, I totally lost touch with it and moved away from working on it altogether. Many years later, I finished my master's in library and information science, and I was working in youth services. So working youth services in the library today, it focuses a lot on introduction to technology, doing intro to Lego robotics, teaching Scratch programs, and that's when I realized I love code, I wished I had learned it, and can I get back into it now? So a year ago, moved out here to Denver, and here I am at Galvanize. Another fun fact about myself is that I'm obsessed with organization, and I love lists. So when it came to capstones, I decided to create Stand Together. Stand Together is a stand-up assistant. Before I go any further, how many people here have been in a stand-up before? Okay, quite a few. For those who don't know, a stand-up is a meeting that developers and teams do in the morning. It's a way for them to check in with each other, get on the same page, and see what's going on in everyone's day. The trouble is that not everyone is a morning person, has a lot of energy. People forget things, and sometimes people just can't make it into the office every morning. So with stand-up, a user can come to the main page and create a unique stand-up. This stand-up will have a unique URL, which they can send out to all of the members of their team or anyone who's participating. That's what I'm doing here. So once everyone has the link, they can use that to access this document. It will work just like a Google Doc. Everyone can be collaborating and editing the same stand-up at the same time, adding their events and items for the day. So as we get started here, I'm adding an interesting Google launched Hire. Everything that's being added as an item is very brief. It's just an overview because that's going to be talked about in stand-up at greater length. So what else we got? Capstones are now. Once the events are added, we go into presentation mode. This creates a slide for every topic and discussion item in the stand-up for that day. This way, people don't forget what they're talking about, and we know who's talking about what. But when we finish the presentation, we're not done yet. The last slide of every presentation says clap, and that's because to finish a stand down, we do a collective clap. It's a signifier of the end of the meeting and kind of the beginning of your day. The technologies that I use to build this app are React, Redux, Express, WebSockets, Node.js, and Spectacle.js for the presentation. Challenges for this project were that I kept finding really cool new ideas to add into my project. So after I completely built out the app, I was retrofitting things in to make it work. But I'm really glad that I was able to because everything fit and added value. In the future, I'd really like to add admin logins so that people can have their own account, create their own boilerplate for the specific topics that their team will use every day. So that is Stand Together. I am Michelle Berquist, and to close out my presentation, we are going to do a collective clap. So, on 3, 1 clap, 1, 2, thank you.
All right, let's keep it going for Nick Fallon.
Wiggly. No? Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Nick Fallon. I'm a full stack developer. I grew up in Colorado, always kind of obsessed with computers. I built one when I was 14 and another a few years ago, so I really enjoy building things. I went to CU Boulder for quantitative economics with a minor in math. Quantitative economics is a pretty statistically focused major. I originally started in electrical engineering learning C programming, which wasn't my favorite and kind of scared me away a little bit from programming. But after I graduated college, I started getting a little bit more into programming again and realized that C was not the only way, and there are other ways to build things that are a lot cooler. So business and finance didn't really feel like it allowed me to be as creative as I wanted to be. So I eventually decided to come to Galvanize and learn programming. Let's see. So my app is called Plague Nation. I decided to do this because I think location tracking for diseases is really important for public health to see kind of the spread of diseases. And I wanted to provide an interesting visual representation of those statistics. So here we go. Here's our demo. Let's get closer. So here we have a list of symptoms of the flu tracked on Twitter based on Twitter mentions of those words. And we can click one of these words, and I'll show you the locations of where all these things are happening. You can kind of see population centers, mostly English-speaking countries and some in Malaysia. And we can also look at all of the symptoms. Sore throat seems to be the most popular one. I don't know why. But yeah, that's pretty much what it does. Let's go. So for this app, I used Vue.js, which was new to me, Node.js, and a Mapbox API to get that map up. Some of the challenges were initially working with Vue because I had never used it before. I kind of decided to use it because it's a really new technology, but it seems really interesting and pretty powerful for being so lightweight. Integrating the map API was a little bit interesting because it's kind of interactive, so it doesn't work as much the same as other APIs. And then intertwining multiple APIs was difficult because I needed them to kind of talk to each other. So my future plans, I would like to add flight paths across this map so you can see a scarier representation of the, like more of the spread. I'd like to show statistics over time so we can get kind of an overview of the history of the spread of this disease. And I'd also like to show a streaming Twitter feed so you can see exactly what tweets people are tweeting out and where they're coming from. So again, my name is Nick Fallon, my app is Plague Nation, and this is my contact information.
All right, let's keep it going for Molly Brooks.
Okay. Are we good? All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for coming out. We really appreciate it. My name is Molly Brooks, and I am a full-stack web developer. So before I jump right into my project, I want to give you all a little bit of background information about myself and how I ended up here. So before Galvanize, I was in a master's program for psychology, and they were just beginning to experiment with using Skype for therapy sessions. And that's whenever I really realized the impact that technology could have on the psychology field by making it more accessible and more affordable for those who actually need it. So that's whenever I decided that I wanted to be a part of the future, and I enrolled in Galvanize. So how many of you here love public speaking? Yeah, me neither. So in fact, 75% of people have a fear of public speaking, including myself. So a few weekends ago, I went to an event where you had to come up with an idea for a startup, and our group really wanted to help people become better public speakers since it is such an essential skill. And the participants there said that they mostly struggled with fillers, their pace and timing, and their confidence. So we thought it would be really great if after they gave a speech, they could see all that data right in front of them so they knew exactly what to improve upon. So that's what really inspired me to make Speak Up. So whenever a user first logs in, they'll be brought to their dashboard. This is mine. And as they scroll down, they can see all their data across all of their presentations. So here you can see my fillers. My first presentation, I started with 25, and then I got to 6 by my last one. You can also see my pace with my words per minute, my pausing, how clearly I spoke, and then what fillers I used and how often I used them. So this makes it immediately obvious what areas you're improving in and what areas you still need help in. So if you go to your diary page, this is what hosts all of your presentations. To look at a specific one, I can open up Capstone practice number 25, and it's immediately obvious how clearly I spoke, what fillers I used, and my pace throughout it. So to add a new one, I could just click Submit a New Presentation, give it a name. Obviously, I've been practicing a lot. This is number 26. So then I choose a file to upload, and whenever I hit Submit, it's immediately obvious of circling of all of the data. So to make Speak Up, I used a lot of different technologies. I used IBM Watson speech to text in order to analyze the speech data. I used D3 for the data visualization, Vue.js for the front end, Postgres connects Express, and Node for the back end. And some of the challenges that I faced in making this was really getting the data that I needed from what Watson outputted. So for example, Watson gave me what time I started a word and what time I ended it and what time I started the next word. From that, I kind of had to read in between the lines to get the pause data, and I had to do that a lot. Another thing was actually getting the data from a user's computer, or that audio file from a user's computer, and being able to upload it into Watson. And then also Vue.js is a newer front end. And then D3 just came out with a new version, so using those together was a challenge because the tutorials are scarce. So some future features that I'm currently working on are also being able to analyze volume and cadence data with the Web Audio API, being able to stream straight from the web app, and then being able to set goals for yourself and getting badges once you hit those goals. So I'm really passionate about this project. I want to make it the best that it can be. So if you have any ideas of how to make it better, I would love to hear from you. My name is Molly Brooks, and you can find your voice at ispeakup.co.
All right, ladies and gents, stay lively for Keith Davis.
All right, so my name's Keith Davis. I'm a developer. Oh, did it not start? There. There. Oh. So that's the way to do a presentation, really fast. All right, my name's Keith Davis. I'm a developer. I started my programming career when I was like 9 with my uncle. I learned C++ and DOS, if anybody remembers those. And then after high school, I joined the Army, and I did 10.5 years in the military before I was medically retired. After doing that, I really didn't want to go back into labor, so I found Galvanize and came here. After coming to Galvanize, though, I realized there were a lot of things. I did a bunch of hackathons, a bunch of projects. I always hit a wall. And that wall consists of, you might write down stories and you might do all this stuff to track your tasks, but once you write them in that web app, you never go back to it. You never go back to look. You never know what's actually complete. So I made my app to actually solve that problem. I made a native app that works on your phone that'll actually notify you to let you know that you need to get those done. So here's my demo. Let's go ahead and log in. If it works. All right, so once you log in, if it works again, and once you log into the web app, why does it keep pausing? You go and you see your projects, and then we already have one there. You can go ahead, click a new one, type it in. This would be about me for the title here, and then write a description for it. This is an Angular 4 app on me. I talk faster than I type. And then it just adds in. So then if you go ahead and click on it, it'll show you the tasks that are already due for that when you pre-make it, and then you can go ahead and add a new task. All the tasks are timed in hours, so it'll give you your time too. So once we make a new one, we just go ahead and do that. So as a user, I want to make the app colorful. Again, I type way faster. And then you go ahead and put in the time, you submit that. So for me, CSS takes a long time, so it's like an hour and a half for me to do something like that. You go ahead and you add it. The last feature I added was a user panel, if it ever gets to it. So you can change your data and your email address, so it'll notify you via email too. For this app, on the front end, I use Angular 4 and Ionic 3. I chose Ionic 3 mostly because it allows me to make an ISO and Android app without having to rewrite a lot of code. For my back end, I used just your standard Node.js Express with the Postgres database. A lot of difficulties I had. Ionic 4 is so new that I really couldn't find any help anywhere. So I hit a lot of walls of my own just trying to build this app. And I hope to actually later add a company profile to it so you can add that in. And that's my app. And this is about me. Plague Nation since I'm carrying the plague.
Okay, so last presentation before our first break. Please put it together for Coulter.
Cool. How's everybody doing? Good? You guys have been bearing with us pretty well, so we do appreciate it. Alrighty, so my name is Fernando Coulter Freire de Andrade the 15th, and I'm a web developer extraordinaire. Most people call me Coulter. It's a little easy to remember. I know that's kind of a mouthful. But I've always been the kind of guy that likes to build things, break things, and generally figure out how they work. I've also been involved in athletics most of my life. And you know, I've seen a lot of issues in modern day athletics. How many people played team sports growing up? A lot of people, yeah. So nowadays, especially in collegiate and high school athletics, all these kids are on their phones. If you're a coach, you can't rely on mom and dad to tell them when practice is. You can't rely on the students all that much. So what I did was I created an app to solve that problem, Huddle. What Huddle does, it basically is a platform for players and coaches to consolidate all their information in one space. That way, if the coaches have all these kids who are on their phone not paying attention, they can stick all the information right in front of them. And they've really got no choice other than to watch. But Huddle is a progressive web app, which means it will have this home page. This is the coach's side. We're going to take the computer side, the desktop angle with the coaches page. Coaches are going to have a lot more options than the students and the players. They got playbooks, add new plays. This is a playbook that we've loaded up. If you need to edit, you can go up and do that. Get real excited about a T formation. If you don't like a play, like split backs is the worst one, get rid of it. Nice and easy. Say you want to add a new play. There's a button for that too. It's really simple, really straightforward. Coaches don't need to be technologically sound to do this. They just need to be able to click a little bit. And even with the new ones, you can edit it just in the same way. So if there are any issues that are arising, coaches should be able to troubleshoot it without asking their players to fix their technologies for them. Now, like I said, this is really primarily for coaches to get what they want in front of their players. So it's also a mobile app that will access the same database, the same information, but put it in front of that player's face. So a player will log in, like I said, players aren't going to have as many permissions or as many options for what they're doing. They can see all the plays. They can't edit or delete them because that's the coach's job. You got to separate these out some way. But if the players want to test their skills, there's also a flashcard feature in here. What they can do is see, do I know it? They can flip the card to see the name. They can get the next play and continue on. Now, I did this in technologies I've never seen before for the most part. React and Redux were done, or I used for the front end. MongoDB in the back end, along with Node.js and Express handled the middleware. I'm sure you've heard all of us say this so far. There's a lot of challenges that go into this. A big one for me especially was learning all this on the fly while trying to make something productive. It's really easy to make a to-do app, but this is a little more complex than that. That being said, that's not the only challenge I had. Me personally, I got really excited about this idea. I wanted to scale it up to the nth degree. That's not always possible immediately. Everyone here who has gone through this program can tell you to build a small function takes a couple weeks. We only had 2 weeks, so that's why you get your flashcard feature. In the future, what I really want to do is make this a full platform. You've got messaging, you can put a schedule on there, put roster, anything that'll help facilitate the player-coach communication, especially when mom and dad aren't taking you to practice. Once again, my name is Coulter Freire. This is Huddle, and thank you guys very much.
All right, everybody, we're going to take our first break. It's a quick one. Refresh some drinks, do the needful. We'll see you back around 10 minutes.
Friday, don't we do this every day?
Nice job, buddy. Nice job,
Shut
buddy.
up.
Nice job, buddy. Good job.
Flew through that.
Yeah, by all means. I tried to be understandable. Thank you. I'll find you in a second. Thank you.
Great work, Keith. Very proud of you.
I cut half my app.
That's okay.
I can't talk.
I didn't know.
I knew because I had my flashcard thing on my presenter thing, and I'm like, I can't do that.
not yours, right? Nope. Is it yours? Is it yours? Did you want to try playing some audio, or it should be good? We did it earlier, but I didn't know if. What? Do you want me to play audio? Is what I'm asking, or should it be? Should be good.
I do want you to test the microphone. I'm gonna test it later.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 4 5 6. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 4 5 6. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 4 5 6. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 4 5 6. Break it down now. Break it down now. Testing. Testing again. Testing one more time. Testing 1 2 3. Hey. Sure is. Yeah, she likes music. Oh, excellent. Well, this. No, he did something very, very. Do you play an instrument? Piano. Perfect. I play the piano. A little bit. So if you already played the piano, it's not totally geared towards you. Yeah. But you can still use it. So like it teach you how to play instruments? It's kind of like people that just don't know music at all. Like, it's like, kind of like the 70s or 60s, like singer-songwriters were a thing, where you write the lyrics and I'll write the melody and we combine them and work it out. That's what I'm trying to aim to do. But it's more for people who can't, or maybe think that the learning curve to music itself is like way too daunting. I'm not going to bother with that. Can't learn every cheese and can't learn the instrument and learn how to do it with others. So I want to try to stab that learning curve right in the gut and introduce music to a whole bunch of people that really don't think that they can do it anymore. Yeah. And then there's hopefully I can get some kind of musicians out of that, but I've also got a mass market approach as well. So, yeah.
So like if I wanted to collaborate with a cellist, I could just
Hopefully.
in theory.
In the future. In the future.
Right. Okay. That is so cool.
Yeah. You know, it really came from, I mean, obviously you'll see all this in the demo, but like when my neighbors had a piano. We didn't have a piano growing up, and they had hymn books open and stuff. I didn't really know anything about that, but I knew where C was. Right. And C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, all repeats. And I knew that after these three sounded good. Yeah. So like, all you needed is a 3 or 4 chord song. Right. That's it. Yeah. When I had that realization, I was like, everyone needs to know this. Music doesn't have to be this daunting thing. But yeah, so I'm excited about it. I'd like to keep working on it. I feel a lot of these kind of presentations are just for right now, but this is something I've had in mind for a while.
It's really cool. It's really exciting for you. So like, do you guys after you do these? I don't know. Do you go in and like sell your apps to whoever, or like put them on the app store? Or, like I just don't know. I mean, some of these are really cool, like the public speaking one.
Yeah, that one was really cool. That one's really cool. There's another one coming called Trail Mix. That's an app that was made by this person in maroon right here, Lena. She's great. It's just like trying to get people together that want to go hiking and want to be outdoors, mainly for hiking. But it's just, I don't really, yeah, that's a great name. That's a great name. But it's kind of like I wanted to go to, I wanted to go to a hike. I wouldn't really know who to invite or what trail to go on. I like hiking, but I don't know much about it. So it's kind of like a network for just people to get together. And the user interface is really, really crisp on there. So I would look forward to that. Yeah. Come on back. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Hey CJ, how wide is this camera? Ooh, I'll be taking that.
Crunch the neck. Yes, crunches up
What is that?
2017, I do believe.
Ah. Yeah, is this a new route? I feel like you're so close.
Please give it up for Jackson Donovan.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back. My name is Jackson Donovan. I'm a full-stack web developer from Central Vermont. We have any native New Englanders here? Yes. 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 Excellent. Excellent. Born and raised in Vermont. Loved it. Loved the outdoors. Loved anything outdoors. Loved sports. Loved baseball, basketball. I self-taught myself the piano. I had a number of hobbies. But when academics got more serious, I got into business. I studied business at University of Vermont for 4 years, and it was the last year there that I got introduced to code. My roommates were doing it, and it looked fun, so they turned me to Code Academy, and I fell in love right away. So it was a little bit too late to change my major, but as soon as I was done with that degree, I moved out to Denver and enrolled in Galvanize, full stack, web immersive. So with the tools and tech that Galvanize gives, and a business background, I aim to seek and capitalize on an opportunity I found in the market. You see, when I said that I taught myself the piano, I didn't take lessons and I didn't know how to read sheet music, but I knew that these keys, after these keys, sounded good. You add one more and you have a 3-chord song. You add one more and you have a 4-chord song. That's it. That can unlock hundreds to thousands of songs that musicians have used for decades. So with that in mind, I introduced the Music Box. The Music Box is a singer-songwriter application where users will write the lyrics, and then the Music Box will pick a progression and apply the melodies. That sounds pretty cool. Let's check it in action. So, users will sign in. I'll sign in. Turning. And immediately, what we're greeted with is "Welcome, Jackson," and we see the total number of songs. They differ from the songs that you've written because your friends can also write you songs. We see the gallery here with options to play songs and review songs with the verses and choruses that we've written out. So, let's create a song. This song, it's for me. No, I'll write it for Chris, because I like Chris. This is a song. I write music. I can't spell, but I write music. Chorus line, that's actually a play on words. Whoa. So we have our new song. Songs that you write are listed before songs that other people can write for you. Chris writes me songs because we go back and forth. So this song that I just wrote, let's take a listen. It was written in C major. That's what Music Box gave us here. It's going to be applied over verse and chorus. That's it. That's as easy as music can be now. There's no, oh, I have to be a musical genius or I have to find this theory. Thanks to YouTube views, we can understand how popular progressions and keys can be. So that's a new song. A new pop drop is a feature still in development, but I'm super excited about it. As a marketing major, I'm always thinking about a way to bring new products to mass markets. So in the same way that a new song follows similar patterns and progressions, The pop drop, which we've all heard, is the open Gundam style. Turn it down for what? Don't believe me, just watch. Anything, any one-liner, the best one-liner you can come up with, music has almost gotten so easy that the pattern to go up, fit in the one line, and then give a bass line, it's almost too easy. So I'm working on that. I'm super excited about that feature. That is MusicBox in a nutshell. So, how did I do it? The front end was used with Angular. AngularJS and their controllers handled the web audio API, and I was able to manipulate any of that and play chords and progressions and make keys. Express and Node handled the back end, while SQL handled the database. Roadblockers I found, the oscillator problem. This took me forever. I just figured this out like an hour ago. There's the oscillator, which will stagnate tones. It's cool if you can boop, but to actually make tones go in line one at a time and have a rhythm proved to be trickier than I first thought. Learning the pop drop. The pop drop that I was talking about, the goes beyond the 3 chords after 3 chords. It messes with the frequency of the notes, which was well beyond the scope of this project for now, but I'm really excited to learn it in the future. So I'm tackling these impediments and trying to make MusicBox the best singer-songwriter application it can be so everyone can get into music. If you're casual about it, or if you really want to become a musician, the MusicBox can help you out. So I'm Jackson Donovan. I presented the MusicBox. Contact me at Jackson Donovan Develops. Find me on LinkedIn, find me on GitHub, find me out there, and I'll be happy to write you a song. Thank you. Yeah. Oh. I'll be going again. Yeah, let me see the script here.
That's my first time too. All right, thank you. Yeah. I got one fan. That's awesome. 2 fans. Well, I think you count as 2.5. All right. Well, square. Look good out there? All right. My name is Bradley Gillick, and I'm a software developer, originally from St. Louis, Missouri, and a recent transplant to Denver, Colorado. I started my path to becoming a software developer when I got my first job for an online data processor, and I was sitting behind a PC for 8 hours a day. I was immediately hooked on trying to get that machine to do whatever it was that I could make it do. So, in doing so, I relied upon resource monitor software that would allow me to make decisions on how to administer these machines, eventually working myself into a systems administrator role in my last job. What I wanted to do with this Capstone project was to combine my, yeah, some people really like this name, for Administrator Council. It's really unique. You guys can name it whenever you buy it. So what I wanted to do was to use the web technologies that we've learned here in the Galvanize program to apply it to the systems administration work that I had done prior. What I wanted to do was to bring together all the resources that are kind of hidden throughout your operating system into one nice centralized resource. So without further ado, the Brad Administrator Council. In a second. So this is updating in real time. So while it's doing so, I'm going to go ahead and just give you guys a moment to just enjoy to enjoy the graphical goodness. Awesome. So the Brad Administrator Console is a single-page application written in Angular, and it is rendering live data pulled directly from the hardware using a Node.js web server. You see all the major areas of a PC that you would want to keep your eye on: CPU usage, which runs your applications; RAM, which holds those applications while they're in use; hard disk that holds everything that you're not using, and then of course your network and battery indicator. Now, if you want further information on a specific resource, you can go into the submenu here where you can find even more detailed information. And again, you're getting live updated values such as uptime. This one's just for me. And again, we can check our RAM. Everything's looking pretty good. So to demonstrate for you guys the real-time updating aspect of this, let's go ahead and fire something up. How about Photoshop, which is already running? Of course it is. Let me quit it. Awesome. So you can see we're starting to tax our CPU a little bit, returning back to normal values very quickly. As I mentioned before, the technologies that I used were AngularJS, Node, Express, and PostgreSQL. The development roadmap for me would be adding a systems administrator task panel that would allow you to run simple administration tasks based on what you've seen in the resource monitor. Another development area that I'd like to go into is monitoring networked machines, as well as porting this project into Electron so that it would be a cross-platform desktop application. Again, I am Bradley Gillick, super awesome software developer. Thank you guys, and I'll talk to you afterwards. Have a great night. Thank you very much.
All right, you know who I want to hear from now? How about Tristan Guilford?
Who's the space for?
You're over your left ear.
All right. Oh, God. Wardrobe malfunction. One moment. Testing. Okay. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tristan Guilford, and as I manipulate this goddamn earpiece, I'll get to you. So, thank you for attending the G46 Capstones. We really appreciate it. Before I start on my application, a little context and background about me. I'm originally from the DC area. I grew up in Maryland. I attended the University of Maryland College Park, where I majored in Terps. Yeah, that's a long story. But yeah, I majored in aerospace engineering for 2 years, and I love all things flight and space related. I'm a mild space enthusiast. And basically, what I learned was modern aerospace design is not about building aircraft. It's about designing the flight software systems that actually fly them. And I had no computer science training whatsoever. It terrified me, and I immediately pivoted into economics and statistics, and subsequently ended up in a series of finance jobs where I had a less than rosy experience, shall we say. So I pivoted once again, which is something I tend to do. And now I'm here at Galvanize, learning to code and embrace the very thing that I originally feared. So, in fulfillment of one of our final projects, I give you my Capstone presentation here. So, the problem that I'm solving with my application is that websites are hard, technology is hard. You see a sexy website and you just want to know, hey, what is in that website? What technologies are used to build that? And so, this application gives you the ability to kind of look under the hood without having any experience whatsoever. It gives you a clean, comprehensive visual layout, and it has a lot of utility for the developer, product manager, UX, UI designer, and anybody really. So it starts off with a landing page. It is useless, yes, but flashy. And from there,
we end up using what's called a zoomable user interface. And I stole something from George Lucas and Walt Disney. Don't sue me, please. But the zoomable user interface replaces the graphical user interface. Instead of clicking through links, you actually zoom through a page. So you type in a website, galvanize.com in this case, and it will render the page for you. Once you have the page, it takes you to the actual landing page for the site, and you zoom through it, and then it provides you the underlying frameworks, front end to back end, gives you all of the technologies, CDNs, content management systems, libraries, servers, etc. And at the very end of it, it takes you to a tech radar. And this provides an understanding of how the industry feels as a whole regarding certain technologies. So you click through, you can see various technologies and where they rank. It has a sort of stock market kind of rating system, adopt, trial, hold, etc. And so based on this rating system, you know where your website stands technologically. And so some of the technologies I used, Polymer, D3, jQuery, of course, a little bit of CSS, and some of the problems I encountered were, well, like many of us, getting a whole bunch of disparate technologies to interact together seamlessly is very difficult. And also my ongoing and increasingly masochistic relationship with Amazon Web Services. I will conquer you, Amazon. It's a matter of time. Future implementations, I'd like to build a browser extension, user login, where you can actually save your favorite technologies and websites, and the ability to actually compare sites. So multi-site, site to site, and get an understanding of where the technology stands relative to one another. And that is my capstone.
All right. Hey, how about Justin Hart? Put it together. USB-C?
Yeah.
And then on your left.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Hello, everyone. My name is Justin Hart, and sorry, 1 second. Let me. All right, there we are. So, that's a little loud. All right. So I'm Justin Hart. I'm a full stack web developer. So a little bit about myself before we get started. I'm originally from Chicago. I've been out in Colorado for about almost 10 years now, where I went to the University of Colorado, got a degree in business, emphasis in finance. After college, I got a job as a business analyst, and then as a project manager, mainly focusing on business analytics or data analytics and process automation. But ultimately, what brought me here is my passion for solving real-world problems with technology. So the problem I'm here to talk to you about today is revolving around cryptocurrencies. So as you can see here, cryptocurrencies have been always finding themselves into the news over the last couple of years, specifically Bitcoin, if you guys aren't familiar with cryptocurrencies. But the problem with this is that most people are interested in cryptocurrencies because it's either because it's a new technology or because as like a financial investment vehicle. But not many people actually understand how cryptocurrencies actually work. So what typically happens is the price of them are heavily skewed based off of recent news events or public perception. So what I did is built an app called CoinSite, which is a simplified cryptocurrency dashboard. The idea is that anyone should be able to use it. You shouldn't have to be an advanced trader or investor to use it. So the idea is to provide the insights you want to save the time that you need. So doing a quick demo. Here's CoinSite.
On the left-hand side is more of the qualitative sort of assessment that we'll go into in a second. But on the right-hand side, you'll see the quantitative analysis, a market visualization, in this case of Bitcoin relative to the US dollar. Each one of these, this is a candlestick chart, each one of these represents the open, high, low, and close price for Bitcoin in any given day. You can adjust different time scales as you see fit. You can click and drag and customize it if you want. There's also an array of tools, such as like simple moving average 10-day, 20-day, exponential moving average, the convergence divergence, as well as the relative strength index. And then, yeah, you can switch to across other cryptocurrencies like Ethereum or Litecoin. And but if you don't really understand how those tools work, and you'd rather just try and find an easy way to have an idea as to where the price is going, you can just look over on the left-hand side where there is an array of articles that are pulled based off of their relevancy and their exposure in social media. So up on the right-hand corner in green and red, you'll see the public sentiment analysis of the article itself. So if you don't want to read the article and you just want, like, what does this mean? This is generally the confidence in either a positive or negative direction in how the public should be responding to it to then affect the price. So as you expand one of these, you'll see 3 gauges representing the sentiment score, the social media exposure across various sites like Facebook and LinkedIn, et cetera, and then the potential price impact that that kind of news could have on the currency itself. So you could also flip over and check out the current market cap and price of those coins, as well as the overall sentiment over the past 5 days across all of those articles. So going back to the presentation, some of the technologies that I used to do this were Webpack with ES6 and Babel allowed me to have fast performance of this application across any browser, as well as like some offline caching with service workers to improve performance. AngularJS on the front end as well with D3 to do all of the market visualizations. And then on the back end, used Express Node Server, connects Postgres database, and Event Registry API for the articles, as well as IBM Watson Natural Language Understanding API for the sentiment analysis. So in the future, well, over the last couple of weeks, I've been working with a recent Galvanize data science graduate, Mr. John Prendergast over there. And we've been working on trying to implement a self-trading bot, so to speak, which is like based off of a machine learning neural network engine. And the idea is not necessarily to do automated trading itself, but to give the user an immediate real-time recommendation as to buy, sell, or hold at a specific price, depending on the currency that you want. So I'm looking forward to that a lot. Once we can get that implemented, that'll be great. And then, yeah, you can contact me at any of these links. Again, I'm Justin Hart, and thank you very much.
All right, so the only person in G46 who might even be louder than me, let's put your hands together for James Schultz.
First things first, Coulter, I feel like you owe me a drink, right? If I'm not mistaken. Thank you. Oh, I don't need that. Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you. So before I get started real quick, left ear. Let's put it in my pocket, I guess. I know, I'm loud enough, so good luck, CJ. We cool? We cool? Before I get started, everybody, I have been to war and shot at, and let me tell you, it is terrifying standing up here. So can I get a round of applause for everybody who's gone and everybody who's about to go? This stuff is no joke. I'm James Schultz, and this is the good stuff. So let's get rolling here. So a little bit about me. I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama, and I'm from a big family. And anybody who's from a big family knows that whether you like it or not, being from a big family defines who you are, even a little bit. There's a lot of egos, there's a lot of differing opinions, there's a lot of arguing. But honestly, at the end of the day, it's all about love, it's all about support. They understand that where you're going, they want to support you in all your endeavors. Neat. So after high school, I joined the Army. And again, not a lot of people were happy about it, but I was supported in what I wanted to do. And while I was in the Army, I was passionate about what I was doing. I woke up every day excited to go to work. That extended to being deployed to Iraq. Unfortunately for me, I ended up getting injured in action, and I had to leave the military. And so after I graduated, after I left the Army, I went to college, graduated college, and I was looking for that passion, that spark. And through all of that, while I was trying to find my way, my family was there for me. They supported me along the way. Tried on a bunch of different hats, none of them fit. Enter Galvanize. And I tried on this web developer hat, and it fit perfectly. And everything kind of just clicked for me. It wasn't that I was just challenged by the Army, it's that I wanted to solve problems creatively. Being a web developer is about being a creative problem solver. So I thought, how cool would it be if I could take what I learned from web development and try to solve some problems? Somewhere along the way, I'm trying on hats and finding my passion. It was becoming more and more difficult to communicate effectively with my family. And so I thought, hey, let's try to solve this problem. So enter the good stuff. And the good stuff is a way to share the important events in your life with the important people in your life. And so if we come up to here, I thought, wouldn't it be nice if you had one warm, friendly page for everyone in your family to be able to communicate effectively? You could have an event list, maybe a calendar that shows all the upcoming events. Maybe there's anniversaries in there. I have 9 people in my family. Most of them are married with kids. So it's hard to keep track of dance recitals. It's hard to keep track of anniversaries. It's hard to keep track of birthdays. I'm not going to lie to you. So if maybe I came up to somewhere and wanted to add an event, James's graduation, because as my sister can attest to, I texted her yesterday that I'm graduating next week. So maybe I want to post this in here, add an event. And so we can come back up to the good stuff. We can see James's graduation. Hey, I forgot to tell you guys. So some of the things, some of the problems that I faced. Originally, I wanted to have a backend done in C# and .NET Core. I just didn't have time to get it all done. So what I ended up doing is I used Vue for the front end, and I used Vuetify for a lot of the materialized base. I also used Firebase to serve my database. So in the future, what I really want to do is I want to actually build out that C# .NET Core base. I want to incorporate Vuex. I want to have it so it's not just your family. Maybe it's your group of friends. Maybe it's your classmates who you're not going to see, and you can set up meet and greets and put on one page of like, hey, how are you doing? On Tuesday, it's the meetup. And so here's going to be my contact information. But before I go over there, I just wanted to take some time to say, first of all, I would not be here without the love and support of my friends and family, right? I would not be here without the support of my classmates, the instruction from my teachers, and the guidance from the Galvanize staff. If you want to look for me or contact me, here's my information, or you can just wait until it's quiet. I'll be the loudest person in the room. Thank you guys. I'm James Schultz. Have a good night.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Lena Ripple.
Let's go, Lena.
Left ear.
All right. We good? Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. My name is Lena Ripple, and I'm a full-stack web developer. I'm from Colorado, and like any good Colorado family, my family spent a lot of time camping and hiking when I was growing up, and it was one of my favorite ways to experience the state and experience the outdoors. The summer after my freshman year of college, I had the opportunity to spend a month backpacking in the Rockies, and that opened the door for me to experience Colorado in a whole new way through more extended backpacking trips and climbing and just more adventurous sort of sports. And I firmly believe that experiencing outdoors in Colorado is one of the best ways to recreate in the state. The outdoor community here is really fantastic, but it can be kind of intimidating to get into if you don't know the people, or you don't know where to go, or if you're new to the state and just don't really know what to do with yourself. Enter Trail Mix. Ingredients for adventure. So Trail Mix is an app that I created that allows people to create meetups based around outdoor recreation. So you have the option to create and join meetups for hiking, climbing, backpacking, casual camping trips, anything you want with people who are nearby. So this is our demo. You can see you can either create an account or log in. I already have an account, so I'm going to log in with my email and password. Slowly. And this takes you to your feed. So you can see here, these are all the events that are happening near you. Each one has a title, a host, a date, location, and a short description. So to add an event, you can come here and let's say we want to get outside in the next couple days, because we've all been in the basement for the last 2 weeks. So we're going to say this Saturday, July 22nd, sounds like a good day. We're going to go to the mountains. Indian Peaks Wilderness is really nice this time of year. So we're going to go up there, and you can select your activity. We're going to go hiking. And the description will be visible to everyone in the app. This is what they can see before they join your group. So say something simple, friendly. Let's go hiking in the sunshine. And anything else, this will be only visible to people after they've joined your group. So we're quite a ways from Indian Peaks, so carpooling would be nice. So here's our new event right on our page. If you click the tent to go home, it lists all your upcoming events you've hosted, and you can see the details for each event and edit and delete them in here. And this is where all the people in your group would be able to chat and plan the trip. So to build this, I used React Native and Node, Express, and MongoDB on the back end. Some pain points that I had, I think a lot of people have mentioned it already. I call it snowballing unfamiliar technologies. React Native was new to me, MongoDB was new to me, as well as Mongoose and Axios and some other things that I dabbled in. I've got big plans for the app. It would be really nice to be able to include Facebook integration, so your account would be linked to your Facebook friends list and friends of friends, so it would take sort of the stranger danger out of going into the woods with people. And being able to add in-app messaging, photo sharing, and Google Maps just to make everything run a little bit more smoothly is a goal that I have. So my name is Lena Ripple. You can reach me here. If you don't get a hold of me the first time, I might be in the woods. Please get in touch. We can go for a hike.
All right, let's keep it going for Devin Hanaway. Left here. And then I need to get this display. Just. Let's get rid of all this.
Good evening, guys. I'm Devin Hanaway. I'm a product manager, software engineer, and entrepreneur. And my background, we all have alternative routes into Galvanize, but I would call mine an alternative route towards college. It comes from my background, where my parents were both doctors, and I had this opportunity to travel a bit, but really got more engaged with travel as I became an adult, and I grew into my college experience. And I realized that it was the idea of global connection, healthcare, and business that all drove my passions. But it was after a summer actually working at Galvanize 2 years ago that I realized in order to be the most effective product manager and entrepreneur, that I was going to have to learn software development. And that meant either changing my degree from business to computer science or graduating college a year early and spending my 4th year of my college fund towards Galvanize. So I chose the latter, and I'm here today at Capstone's ready to graduate. Now, that background that's brought instilled from my parents of diverse perspective, of religious, cultural, travel, that also drove a really powerful thing for me, which is the diversity of experience. Getting out there and trying lots of different fields. It's not going to be one field in this day and age that it defines our career. It's going to be many fields across many countries, across many cultures. And so that's why I created Nomads. Nomads is a platform that is designed to be the anti-social network. At the end of the day, we have enough social networks out there, but if we want to keep track of our friends and family, or really our global connections, we need a centralized place to see them and to map them. So I created a directory and map of your closest global friends or local friends. So the idea is to get offline and actually connect with these people in person and to foster meaningful relationships. So as we sign in, let's see. Oh, invalid password. That would be my bcrypt working. All right, so we come in here, and this is my profile. If I go and look, I have a number of different friend requests coming in. I can look at my current nomads. These are my friends. I can go and look at them on a map, and I can see, oh, okay, here's Coulter Freire in Denver. Here's Alex. Alex is an interesting guy. I met him in Helsinki, but he's a Russian kid who got away from St. Petersburg in order to study computer science in Finland and ended up getting a job out in San Francisco working as a software developer. So I can come into my notifications, and here's Iman. So I'm going to accept Iman, and I'll accept Jake. Jake's my cousin in LA. So when I refresh the map, we get, oh, there Jake just popped up. Jake's over here in LA, and if we come over to Morocco, we see Iman has popped up here in Morocco. So at the end of the day, I built this app because I want to help people create more meaningful global connections and relationships in general. And while at the end of the day, these technologies are what I use to build out this application, it was challenging. If we look at this tech stack here of React, Redux with a Mongoose backend and Node serving that up, these are all the languages that I didn't know 3 weeks ago at all. So building out an entire application where you have authenticated users was extraordinarily challenging, but it was this challenge that I embraced, and it gets me excited about the ability to be a software developer, because I believe to be the most effective product manager or entrepreneur, you have to be able to build it yourself. You have to be able to sit with engineers and talk with them about the problems they're facing and empathize with them. So I am Devin Hanaway. I'm a product manager, I'm a software developer, and I am an entrepreneur. And thank you guys for coming out tonight.
Okay, so this is the last one before our second and final break. Please put your hands together for Jordan Fred. Left ear.
Thought I had this set up. Okay. Hello, my name is Jordan Fred, and I am the creator of the Page Slayer. Prior to Galvanize, I was first introduced to programming through game development. This was over a year ago, and I started a seemingly innocent hobby on the weekends that eventually evolved into a full-time obsession. Now, what attracts me to programming is the challenge and the thrill of creation. It's the puzzles and algorithms that keep me up at night, only to wake me up in the morning ready to solve them. However, in my humble beginnings, learning on my own and only doing it on weekends, I found it was too slow of progress. This was about 6 months ago, and I fully decided I wanted to pursue programming. However, I wanted more out of programming than game development was able to offer me. I wanted to have experience writing in several different languages. I wanted a better understanding of the logic and nature of code, and I wanted knowledge of web technologies and the industry in general. Now, after the immersive course, I have those things, and have also completed multiple full-stack web applications. For my capstone, however, I decided to return to my origins and develop a game. My capstone is proof or evidence to myself that I have grown and truly improved as a developer. So with that, I am proud to present to you the first live demo of the Page Slayer. So as you can see, this is a 2D platformer. You play as the former king author with your mighty fountain pen, and your job is to defeat the monsters of reality with your powers of fiction. So here's our first enemy, who is a ink blob, and I'll attack him with my pen until he disappears. I actually did not do the art for this. I paid and hired an artist, and we collaborated together on the look and feel of how this would come out. He did all the animations, the color choices. As you see here, this is our first objective. This is a piece of inspiration. As I destroy this bulb, we get rewarded with a little quote by one of my favorite authors about writing. It's a little small. I'll read the next one. So we'll continue on. It is under the style of a Metroidvania genre, which means you are really exploring, trying to discover the map on your own, which I designed and created, and it took a long time, just planning out each of these little pieces to be right where I wanted them, getting it just right. A man is a fool not to put everything he has at any given moment into what he is creating. Frank Herbert, one of my faves. You get out of here. We'll continue a little longer, see if I can't get our next piece of inspiration. Yeah, it gets a little more difficult up here. I add in another feature. We got some spikes I got to look out for. I ran into a lot of problems, mostly working with a remote artist. He's a friend of mine, but he lives in Wisconsin. So we had to do everything. Dang, no. It's okay. I still have 2 hearts. We can do this. Almost there. Takes a gentle touch. All right, there we go. So I've spent a lot of time on my demo, and I don't have too much time left. But in the time left, I would like to tell you the things I've learned over the last few weeks. The first is that I can do this. I had imposter syndrome and suffered from it every other day. However, working hard and reading all the material I could find, I did it. I figured it out, and I got it done. And I learned that in any foreign environment for programming, I'll just figure it out, I'll work hard, and I'll get it done. The second thing I learned is the importance of communication in the agile planning process, especially when you are collaborating remotely. It was a huge helpful thing to have features planned each day and working on the same thing at the end of the night. And lastly, I learned that I made the right decision 6 months ago. I love coding, and this is what I want to do. And I am excited to move from being an amateur web developer to a professional. Thank you.
Okay, guys, we're going to go into our last break. Please bring your glasses back out to the kitchen. And we'll make this one a quick one. We got 6 more left, and they are bangers. See you guys back. am excited. Classmates, you can hear me? Classmates, you can hear me? Oh, it warms my heart every time. All right, it is my distinct pleasure to introduce you to the final segment of the evening. We have 6 more killer presentations, starting with Taylor Roberts.
Hello. Alrighty. Oh gosh. Hold on. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Taylor Roberts. I am a software developer. And before coming to Galvanize, I studied molecular biology at CU Boulder, and I also worked in the skateboard and snowboard industry for a couple of years. The reason that I got into programming was a friend of mine suggested that I check out a couple different tutorials online, and once I did it, I was automatically hooked. I really loved how I could combine my creative side with my more methodical side and just create really awesome things. When I was trying to come up with a capstone project idea, I knew I wanted to incorporate music. And as a music lover, I love music videos. I love that they're interactive. And the problem was that, there's not music videos for every song that I love. And typical audio visualizers are everywhere, and I wanted to do something a little bit more unique. That's why I created Anemone. So Anemone is an animated music video generator that allows users to create their own animated music videos. So you can upload a song. You can do it a couple different things. Here we're going to select a character. Let's go with the llama. And a background. So let's do the mountains. And once you click play, it will animate based on the frequency of the music. Let's check out a different theme. Let's do the Lizard Wizard theme. So yeah, all the backgrounds and everything is animated based on the frequency of the music. And last but not least, my personal favorite, classic David Bowie. Let's do Intergalactic. And here we go. I'm an alligator. So yeah, all the animations are made by yours truly. And I had a lot of fun creating all the different animations. And I used D3 for a lot of the audio data visualizations, which was awesome. D3, it seems limitless. You can do crazy things with it. And I also used Vue.js for the front end. Vue.js is pretty new, but I really wanted to get into it because it's very lightweight, and I kind of saw it as a nice combination of AngularJS, which they taught us in class, and React. And it's just very flexible, it's very easy to use, and I loved it. I also used Postgres for my backend database, Sass for some of the styling, and Node.js and Express for my servers. So, like I said, a lot of the animations that I created all the animations that I created were made by me, and it took a lot of time. And then also I had to convert the D3 animations, which were SVGs, into canvas elements dynamically so that I could record those and generate video files. That proved to be a real struggle, but I'm really happy with the outcome of it. And I chose Anemone, which is very hard to say. In the future, for Anemone 2.0, I'm definitely going to implement more of a social platform that will allow users to post videos that they've made and also see videos that other users have made. And I'm going to incorporate the Spotify API so that users don't have to upload songs, that are locally on their machines. They can just type one in and go from there. All right, again, my name is Taylor Roberts. I want to thank you all for being here, and you can check out Anemone at anemonevideo.video. I knew I was going to do that. And yeah, come find me if you want to make some music videos.
dynasty. Let's hear it for Nick McKendry.
Millions of peaches.
Good to go? Cool. Hello, everyone. I'm Nick McKendry. I'm a full stack developer. There's me, if you haven't figured that out already. So I'm born and raised in Colorado, lived here 20 years. I went to Colorado Mesa University for a year. After a year, just wanted something quicker, more hands-on, more up-to-date, and I made the switch to Galvanize. And it's one of the best things I've ever done, hands down. So some things I love, the outdoors. Growing up in Colorado, it's kind of just put on you to love the outdoors, hiking, camping, everything. Web development is my newest joy and like one of my biggest passions now. And cars. Cars has been something that I've been into since high school. I love the problem solving that comes with working on cars, car photography. Anything to do with cars is something that I'm super passionate about, which is what led me to make my app. And the problem I saw when making my app was the car world is super outdated. There's no social media for it. Everything is just by the book. There's nothing on the web, no social media or place directed for car enthusiasts like myself. So I made an app called RevMatch. And open it real quick. So RevMatch, you'll bring up a loading screen, log in with Google real quick. And while that loads up, so after this loads, it'll bring me to my your typical Instagram feed. You log in, people you follow, you can see all their posts, follow their car builds, whatever they're doing with their car. It's a place only for cars and nothing else, which is a problem I have with Instagram or Facebook. I want to post a picture of my car, but no one else really cares about my car except for a select few people. So this is, so that select few people can now come to my app and don't have to deal with anyone else. So you can scroll through, see Tristan Guilford bought a new car. It's a spaceship. So yeah, so here's my new Lambo with my new web development salary. So then you can go to search by username or car. You can add a post or a meetup, and what a meetup would be is like a car meet or an event around you in your area. So these would be all events in my area around me that I can scroll through and find, and I can add a new one here or a new post. And last off, you can go to your profile. Here's my profile. Follow me on Instagram, FozGang. So yeah, and then it's kind of just, the profile is more of a gallery of all of your posts. So I can scroll through all the pictures of my car that I've posted, and other people can come here and follow me. So the technologies that went into building this were React Native overall, which is just building a mobile app only for mobile, which is why I picked it. I believe it works the best. JavaScript, Node, Redux to work with states, and Mongo and Express on the back end. So obstacles that I ran into working with a mobile app was one of the biggest ones. Never done that before. I've always been web focused, and it was very different, but it's something I came to really enjoy, and I want to do it again. Looking forward, I want to get this deployed to the App Store, and I also want to build a web app for it. So my name's Nick McKendry. That's my app, and you can contact me here.
All right, our next presenter is so tall we had to move the camera back. Please put your hands together for Derek Kramer. Okay, left ear.
Perfect. All righty. All good? Hi, everyone. My name is Derek Kramer. Thank you for coming tonight. First, a little bit about me. I was born and raised in Colorado. I attended CSU for business management. I was an excellent program there, and after leaving there was really when tech started to take off in Denver. So I decided I wanted to marry something in the tech industry with my business acumen that I gained at CSU. That brought me to Galvanize, which has turned me into a full stack web developer at this point. When it came to my capstone presentation, I had always been into space. I mean, Tristan Guilford, who was up earlier, has called me the space guru. So I knew I wanted to do some with that, and I've always been passionate about space, especially about SpaceX and the amazing things that Elon Musk has been doing there. So that brought me to Space Examiner, which is the title of my capstone app. So I had to find a problem in the space industry that I wanted to solve with my app. I found problems on the greater whole with NASA, which was a lack of interest in launches. There wasn't really an appreciation for the launches that were going on, I think because of a PR problem that NASA really has with people, and also the quantity of launches that NASA has. On the SpaceX front, they've sort of had a reputation of being a failure because of all the negative press that they've garnered, despite having over 50 successful launches in the last 10 years. And also there hasn't really been enough appreciation of those successful launches. So the solution is, do we keep sending out these boring manifests of successful launches, or do we turn to 3D visualization? 3D visualization, right? So that brings me to Space Examiner. If you go there, this is the landing page of Space Examiner. Here you can see a 3D depiction of the globe. This is fully zoomable and movable, so you can look anywhere you want on the globe. Then, if you come to the upper right-hand corner, you can select from a list of all successful SpaceX launches. Let's go with one from the EchoStar Corporation. This happened on 3/16 of this year with a Falcon 9 rocket. It was out of Cape Canaveral, Florida. So it zooms into the launch location. Then you can see the orbit path as it takes off and enters into low Earth orbit. Then once it returns back around the side here, you can see once it hits back at the origin location, it uses boosters to go into an elliptical orbit, and then it'll swing back around and use that momentum to enter into mid-Earth orbit. And then you can see the full orbital path there. I also have a page on here where it lists the manifest with all the dates, the customers that SpaceX launched for, the launch sites, as well as the rocket used. And if we come back here, some technologies that I used Node.js and Express to host on. I use Sass for the front-end styling and positioning. And then I use the 3JS JavaScript 3D library, which is built on the WebGL 3D API, which allows a web app to use the computer's graphics processor. My name is Derek Kramer. You can contact me on GitHub, LinkedIn, by email, or by phone. Thank you for listening.
All right, let's keep it going. 4, Tom Jones.
Left ear on this one. There we go.
Good evening. My name is Thomas. My name is Thomas Jones, and I'm a full stack developer. In a previous life, I was an IT operations manager, but each year that I was in that role, it took me further and further away from the things that I really found interesting about IT when I started, and I really wanted to kind of step back and re-engage, learn the technologies. The issue at that point became that I had been out for a while and I needed to get back, understand the technologies, but more importantly, I needed to understand how to communicate with devs. because I decided I wanted to be a DevOps engineer. So that being the case, how better to understand a web dev than to become one? So I joined the Web Immersive here at Galvanize. And during my time in the program, I realized that one of the main motivations for developers is just build, build, build. You know, I myself had an operations background. You build it, I now have to support it. So one of the things that I embraced, and future cohorts, I recommend that you as well. It's a mantra that goes around. Wise man once said, deploy early, deploy often. It will really cut down on the crunch time cursing. So as for DevOps, what now? Well, DevOps really is expected to do all of it. It's not in between, it does everything. So you're going to be able to build, deploy. Anybody that builds anything, you test it. So what I did was I built increasingly difficult, complex apps, and then deployed them. And I stuck to the free tier providers so that I could actually, during my tests, hope to have a better chance of reaching any assertions that I had made. So I bring this up as we get into the testing portion of this, a lot of junk. The main point here is that 40% of people will abandon a site if it takes more than 3 seconds. So that said, decided to attack my own sites. So, neat thing too, as a web developer, you can build front ends for the operations guy. So, okay. Thank you, YouTube. So, essentially, if you do a quick math crunch on that, you'll find that I hit that site 1 million times. So the orange line essentially represents, that 3-second point. Anything above that, 40% of those people, if real users, would have abandoned. Another success for me actually was pagination. So I took that same site, and as I said, it made it more difficult, and this one had a database. And then instead of hitting it in the face 1 million times, I force-fed it cupcakes, about 10,000 of them. So at that point, without pagination, essentially, there's no break that says, oh, I only want to see 25, I only want to see 12. You're getting all 10,000. So your browser does not like trying to deal with that. So the next win that I got was, as I was shoving cupcakes into this site, there's a limit at Heroku that's 10,000 rows, and they kind of tried to warn me before it hit. Too late. So here's here's the technologies that I used, not only for the front end, the back end, but also the attacking machine. So the challenges that I ran into while I was working on this was that each of these guys decided to release updates during the middle of my project. So what now? It's a big question, but really, for me, DevOps answers that, because I know that I'm going to build, I'm going to deploy, I'm going to test, make it better, improve the code, improve the process, redeploy, retest. So in the process of doing that, I'm going to be working with things to help increase the load generation, the testing methodologies, and also be able to not only attack with more force, but be able to respond to it on the other side. Once again, my name is Thomas Jones. Thank you very much. I can be contacted here.
Okay, we got 2 more left, so let's go out strong. Let's put it together for Lee Robinson.
And left ear on that.
Hi everybody, my name is Lee Robinson. I'm a curriculum developer, a longtime teacher, and now a full-stack web developer. I'm also a Westerner. I have many generations of family that are from the West in Colorado. In particular, my grandfather, this is his ranch brand, the 3/4 R brand. He was a big inspiration to me and the app that I wanted to develop. My grandfather was in the Civilian Conservation Corps in the 1930s. This started a long history of wanting to work within conservation, basically throughout my family. In my previous job, I worked for an outdoor education company. Part of my job actually entailed working with conservation organizations and bringing them together so that we could work on different projects. Perhaps the thing I'm most proud of is I brought together 4 different conservation organizations to work on a Protect Our Rivers license plate campaign that was able to bring, if you buy this license plate, a lot of revenue to these organizations. The problem I had basically when doing this was that many of these organizations, even though they're working on similar projects, they don't often talk with one another. Also, as someone who was interested or had resources to give these organizations, it was hard for me to find where they were other than just doing basic Google searches. There was no single location, no place where I could go and just see, oh, here's organizations that are working in Colorado towards a certain end, and do they fit the end that I want to help with? So that basically brought about me wanting to do something called Colorado Conservation Conversation. Let's all say that 6 times very fast. I just got it out. So this is the app, and it's very small. Maybe it's because I need to do... No? Let's go back. All right, squint. Just squint hard. So, Colorado Conservation Conversation is just a very basic place where people can come. There are tons and tons of organizations working towards great ends in Colorado. This is a place where users can come, they can sign up, and then they can be notified of different things that organizations are doing. But what if you're an organization yourself and you want to be added to this database? Well, you can come and you can add your organization. We're going to go into that any second. And you're going to sign up. You only have to sign up once to be signed in. So we're going to do that. So a great organization that's working right now in Colorado is the 14ers, basically 14ers organization that do a lot of work on Colorado 14ers. So we're going to enter them in. We put in basically their name, their homepage URL, and then they can enter a project that they might be working on at the moment, as well as the title of the project, and then a description of what that project is in the moment. The other thing they can do is enter in a logo, and this is important for the view page of the site as a whole. So once they put in their logo, we can then go over the view page. This is what users and organizations will see. It's basically a card view that can be organized by favorites. You can favorite organizations. You can also filter them because there'll be many here. So let's look at Colorado 14ers Initiative that we entered. So there's lots of data on the page, easy to read data that we can see. There's the current project that we just added, as well as a map to the location of where that's going to be. We can also click through to the organization's website if we wish to get more information very easily. And going back, we can also connect with them on social media, so through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You don't have to necessarily go out and search this stuff because it's all there, and you can instantly connect with what they're doing and see what they're doing. So that's the basic part of the app. I used React, Redux, Express, Node, and MongoDB on the back end to create the app. I also used Phantom.js, which is a web scraper, to bring up some of the data. The problem that I encountered is Phantom.js wasn't actually that easy to implement. And in future iterations, what I'd like to do is basically have organizations enter their data once, and the web scraper will go out and constantly update the site without them having to come back to it. I really see this as a way for us to get involved in all the great things the state has to offer, to do great things for our environment, and not just, there's a lot of people that moved here, and a lot of these people don't even know where or how they can get involved. So I want to just create an easy place for us to give back to this great state. My name is Lee Robinson. You can find me at 3/4r.com. Thank you very much.
All right, last but certainly not least, please put your hands together for George Patton.
Left ear on this one.
All right, before I get started, let's just give another round of applause to everybody who came before me. You guys were all awesome. Let's hear it for the training staff, the instructors, Kyle, his crew, CJ for making all this work and getting it online so the people who can't see it are here with us. Okay, cool. So my name is George Fawcett. Like they said, I'm a full stack developer, like it says right there. So who am I? Before this, I went to the best school in the state, CU, for psychology and sociology. Before that, I went to art school. I'm a big fan of logic problems, competitive gamer, specifically in Overwatch. I do code tutorials on YouTube and live code on Twitch. Why am I here? So programming allows me to, like cooking, mix those analytical skills with art skills to make really cool stuff. Plus my brother got a CS degree and got a job at one of them big Silicon Valley companies, and anything he can do, I can do better, so I figured why not. So how many people here remember a little game called Farmville, right? So when you break Farmville down to its basics, what it was you clicked on a crop to get money, to click on more crops to get more money, to click on more crops. And in the early 2000s, a guy wanted to show how ridiculous that was, and he made a game called Cow Clicker. And much to his chagrin, it blew up and it got really popular. So he didn't understand operant conditioning very well, how we like pressing buttons to watch numbers getting bigger. So the one that most people start off with is Cookie Clicker, which came out in 2013, where you click on the cookie to get cookies, and you use those cookies to buy things to get you more cookies. And then that has spread into a couple other different games. So we have the RPG genre and Clicker Heroes, the City Builder and Adventure Capitalist, and Neku Atsume is really popular right now also. So the problem with all these games is what's called the curve. So this is user activity over time, and as you can see, almost all of it happens in the beginning of the game, and then the game starts playing itself at that point. So I wanted to address this by taking several different of the incremental genres and having them trigger each other. So once you get to about here, we start a new curve, and then start a new curve, and start a new curve, so your trajectory rockets really fast. So I created Skinner Panel, named after B.F. Skinner. So this is the web app. It starts like Cookie Clicker, where you click to get resources, to buy things that click for you to get more resources. But that opens up a second game, which plays like Swarm Simulator, where the child resources are used to get parent resources, and then those parent resources make child resources. And then you saw at the end, it opens up Clicker Heroes, where you attack. And all the systems are interactive with each other. So resources in the first game are used in the second game. Those resources are used in the third game. So after I built that, I had to go, okay, now what do I do? So I built a native mobile app so you could play this on the go. So here it is again. Same thing, this is going to go much faster because you don't really need to see it again, but you swipe left and right because you can't have all that on one phone screen. but we moved that over to mobile so you could take it with you. And then I finished that and was like, okay, now what do I do? How can I make this harder? And so I built this. So if the hands don't give it away, this is Skinner panel in VR. So I'm using an Oculus Rift. You have a button that works based off of physics, and you have to actually push it in to get the gas. It gives you resources, and then in a minute we'll turn and look at the second game, and then we'll turn and look at the third game. The great thing about all of these is they're all cross-platform. So your progress in one is saved to a database and then pulled into any of the other two. So you can start in VR, and admittedly this gets tiring after about an hour, and you can move on to the laptop, and then if you need to leave the house, go over to mobile. Yes, so let's go on to the next slide. Okay, so what were the challenges that I faced? So Unity upgraded its game engine right in the middle of my project. I started with 5.6, and it upgraded to 2017.1, which I did, thinking like, oh, this will be great. But turns out the Oculus SDK doesn't work with 2017. It does today, but it didn't when I was building this project. And they told me, oh, we'll get it done in a couple days, which I responded probably rudely, I don't have a couple days. Speaking of SDKs, I'm using quite a few. So Unity is talking to Steam VR, is talking to Oculus VR, and they don't all like each other. They have a lot of commands that override each other, so that was a problem. Also, making VR games is really hard. When you're wearing that headset, it weighs a couple pounds, but for 14 hours a day, it really starts to make your neck hurt. Also, my eyes hurt so bad. It felt like when you swim and your eyes are open in chlorine, because I had to keep going from laptop, computer, VR, laptop, computer, VR. And then Saturday night, my entire PC file system corrupted. I had to reinstall Windows. So basically everything you saw, I built from Sunday to today. Another big problem is that all of this stuff is in different languages. So my cloud back end is in what you would expect, AWS, Node.js, pSQL. The front-end web app is built in Angular 4. There's not a lot of tutorials for it because it just came out in March, and in TypeScript, which we don't learn. My mobile app was in React Native like Nix, and I learned just wrap stuff in views instead of divs. And then the VR app is written in C# and in Unity. So none of this actually is transpilable into the other one, so everything had to be rewritten from scratch every time. In the future, I'd like to get it actually on Steam and in the 2 app stores. Sorry, Windows Phone users. You can find me here, GitHub, LinkedIn. Here's my webpage. There's where my Twitch and YouTube tutorials are. Also, I'll be upstairs after this is all over because I did bring in the VR kit if you want to try the actual game. Thank you.
Holy crap. Let's hear it one more time for all the students. So there's a lot that goes into getting to this point. So there's some people we have to thank. If you're a Galvanize instructor or staff member, hand up, please. So that's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to get to this point 6 months later. So thank you all for your effort to get here. And I want to reiterate, too, that all the presentations that you saw today, that was 2.5 weeks and included stuff that none of them had ever done before. And, Galvanize doesn't cover VR. Galvanize doesn't cover data visualization, React, native app development. That's not a part of our curriculum. It doesn't need to be. That's not useful. Learning how to just do a thing isn't nearly as useful as making independent developers who can bring their passions to life. And this is a passionate group of people. We try to make people who can learn to learn. And that's what you saw on display here. People wanting to bring something into the world and then making it so. Development isn't typing. It's not just what happens here. It's all what happens here. Development is problem solving. And modern developers attack problems. They find tools or they build them themselves. But it's the distinguishing feature of a developer in my mind is somebody who wants something to be in the world and decides to make that the case rather than waiting for somebody else to do it. And you need to care about the outcome also. This wasn't just like a math problem that they were solving. You saw that how they were incorporating elements of their previous lives in here, how excited they were about the outcome. It isn't just getting to the bottom of the equation. It's birthing new concepts. And I really become kind of taken with an axiom lately that programming isn't following instructions. That's what computers do. A developer needs to be smarter than the machine they program. And hopefully you got a glimpse into what that looks like. So right after this, we're going to do a quick stand down with the students, but I'll give them back to you very quickly, I promise. But I am very grateful for the time that I get to spend with these guys. So I hope that you are lucky enough to get to spend some time with them also. So thank you very much. One more round of applause. Circle up. Let's try to mash in here real quick. Circle up. As best we can. It's going to be tight.
Hey, is there an app for
A stand-up? I don't know.
stand down?
Working on it.
This is a point. Guys, this is not a circle.
You want to stand in a circle?
This is an elliptical orbit.
Don't step on my phone or my computer. Well, either. Under my chair is bad placement.
Here we go.
So, how about Brooks?
Yeah. Take off his shirt.
That was amazing. You guys killed it. Those are the best capstone presentations I've ever seen.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys for putting in the time to make it happen. Take a look around. Think about everything that went into getting you here. The people who helped you out. The people who invested in you. Kudos to Michelle, right?
Yeah, kudos to Michelle!
Thank you.
Every one of us helped everyone else at any given time. And it's just a team. We're all here starting and we're all here together. And at the bottom now we're here.
Amen.
That's right.
I want to give you guys a chance to hang out and party with your friends, but thank you for making this such an exciting and truly rewarding job. You guys are the best. Thank you.
Thanks, Kyle.
All right. 3, 2. Woo! Yeah! Oh, enjoy tomorrow off, and I'm going to post the residency application tomorrow also. No class tomorrow. I'm going to post the residency application tomorrow.
I'm gonna send you an email because I was told not to just do applications. So make that connection.
Excellent. I look forward to it. Yeah.